your business, please don't get involved. I got money on my mind, trying to
Welcome to the DC Stewart Show Podcast. I'm your host, Derek Stewart. We're back at you again on a Thursday. We're going to be talking sports today, sports content, some of the current events, some of the happenings over the past few days. We've had a couple of breaking news stories come about in the NBA, and then we'll be elaborating and touching on a few things in the NBA for tonight's game one, which is going to be OKC versus the Indiana Pacers. And, you know, my kinfolk here, Isaiah and Najee, they got it all figured out. They've already picked OKC to win tonight's game and to win the series. So, you know, I feel good about things because I'm going to go against the grain and I'm going to be contrary. That's what my grandma used to say. I'm going to be contrary to these two guys' predictions, and I'm going to pick Indiana tonight. And one of the reasons I'm going to pick Indiana is because the head coach, Rick Carlisle, is the sixth man on the Indiana Pacers.
We don't need a seventh. Yeah.
Well, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, we'll see what happens. But I firmly believe that Indiana is going to find a way to get this game tonight, and then Oklahoma City will be fighting uphill the rest of the battle. But that's just my 2 cents in it, right?
Yep. Put your 2 cents in it.
There you go.
Ask for your 2 cents.
Thank you. You're so polite. But anyhow, hit that like button and hit that subscribe button, because one of the reasons you hit the subscribe button is you get the notifications first and foremost. You're the first to know when we upload new content to YouTube. And we're putting content out there not only on YouTube, but we're putting content out there on Instagram and Facebook as well. We have audio only content over at SoundCloud. So if you have a SoundCloud subscription, but it doesn't necessarily have to be a SoundCloud subscription. It's a music app. We put our shows over there for audio, you know, our podcasts on the audio side. So if you just want to go over there and listen to our audio segment of the podcast, especially on your ride in or your ride out, you know, you going to work in the morning, just turn us on and you'll get some kicks out of some of the things that we talk about, because we're not talking about the stuff that mainstream media talks about. We talk about stuff that we talk about every day. And that's a difference. I mean, you can get mainstream media, you get these announcers, sports announcers and pundits, and they sit behind these elaborate, luxurious desks, and they bring you the news. We bringing it to you raw. As raw as you could, we can bring it to you, baby. We bringing it to you. So that's just kind of how we do it here. And we got our guy Najee. I mean, need I say more about Najee? Najee, to me, is my heart. So I'm going to just leave it at that. But in the meantime, make sure that you subscribe and hit that like button. And I'm going to introduce my kinfolk, Isaiah. But however, I do need to mention one thing about Isaiah. Isaiah is, you know, I'm just a little bit perturbed about the fact that I can't keep up with him with these hats. But you know what? I'm going to go build my hat collection, and I'm going to go head to head with you. So you just best to be ready when I do hit you with a hat. And I ain't going to even tell you when I'm coming on with my hat. So I'm going to just douse it down with my vest and my hat. So anyhow, how you doing, Isaiah?
Doing superb. I might come hit you back with a vest on in a bow tie.
No, don't do that to me. Don't do that to me.
I do it up, man.
That's unfair, bro.
Bow tie on, and then put that vest on, and make you feel a little bad, boy.
There you go.
Yeah. Anyway, man, this is a good night tonight, man. And two good teams gonna compete tonight, and man, these guys deserve it. Both teams well deserve it, man, because you know, beginning of the season, nobody gonna anticipate that these teams are gonna get this far. You know, if you look at it, but both of them are there, and you know they got some high-powered players on both teams. They're well coached, so we should be looking for a great series, man. I say OKC gonna get that business handled, but that's the way it's gonna materialize. Tonight is tonight.
I hear you. One thing I could say about my kinfolk Najee. Najee don't change. He ain't trying to dap it up like me and Isaiah. Najee is Najee, man. Come on.
Yeah.
You can't get no more natural than Najee. So how you doing, Najee?
You're doing awesome, sir. Man, I'm really waiting for this Thunder and Pacers game, man. Because exactly what I told you about when we first started this playoff situation, when we were talking about young talent becoming the face of the league. This is what we needed. We needed two young teams to go against each other in the playoffs, in the finals, to to establish themselves, make their names. Because as with the older players like Durant, Curry, LeBron, all the boy, Chris Paul, all the boys that's leaving, going into the shadows, we need this young talent to come up and show out. So we start talking about them. It's their time. It's their time.
Yes, they want it. Yeah.
Showing up and showing out, right?
Yes, sir.
Hey, that's the ultimate thing about sports that I like. Either you show up and show out, or you don't show up at all. But it's going to be one or the other, because there is no middle ground in sports. Whether it's an individual sport, whether it's a team sport, you either show up, show out, or you don't show up at all. And the latter one is not good, because if you don't show up at all, you're going to get defeated at whatever level that you're at. You could be an amateur level, you could be a professional level. It doesn't really matter. But one thing is, the game has never changed. There's a winner and there's a loser, and there's no middle ground on that. So in the meantime, we're going to get this party started, but where the party at?
Right here, baby. Party right here.
I can't hear you. Where the party at?
The party is right here, big dog. Right here.
The party is right here, and we ain't going nowhere. We ain't going nowhere. So let's get this first topic started, and let's talk a little bit about flag football being accepted into the Olympics. So flag football has been flag football for years. You have the professional levels, and I'm going to specifically talk about the NFL level of flag football. They have actually moved the Pro Bowl over to flag football. They don't play contact football anymore in the Pro Bowl like they did for the last 50 years, which is why I don't watch the Pro Bowl anymore. I don't watch the Pro Bowl for that specific reason.
And they don't worry that thing.
One main reason, but the second reason I don't watch Pro Bowl is because they do it in Orlando instead of doing it in Honolulu, Hawaii. Honolulu, Hawaii is a vacation. Orlando is a vacation, but it's not Honolulu, Hawaii. If that makes sense to most people who've been to Honolulu before. It's a paradise over there. And it's been a long tradition of the NFL after the Super Bowl week, pretty much, or after the playoffs week, because they started doing the Pro Bowl before the Super Bowl, because
that was backwards too, DC.
I think that was backwards as well, and we'll elaborate and discuss that about the NFL, because the NFL needs to make some changes. They're doing well financially, but they're not doing well with viewership, in my opinion, because if they don't do things properly with viewership, it's going to impact their revenue flow and stream. And that's where I ran afoul with specifically Roger Goodell. And if he was the only one to make that decision to move that from Honolulu, I think it was bad. Now, Roger Goodell might have not have had anything to do with that, because I heard the NFL was trying to negotiate a new contract with the city of Honolulu over the Aloha Stadium, which is where the University of Hawaii used to play. Aloha Stadium is archaic. I mean, I've been there several times, and it's a very old stadium. Hawaii was looking to try to build a new stadium, but they don't have a professional sports franchise. So why would they build a super state-of-the-art stadium if they only have the University of Hawaii Manoa there, right?
So a one-day thing every year.
Exactly. So they couldn't come to the conclusion and agreement with the NFL and the city of Honolulu on who was going to negotiate in a certain manner where they could continue to carry the Pro Bowl over there. That 1 week was special. That 1 week of the Pro Bowl, I would leave Sunday, and I would get there on Sunday night, and then Monday morning, the NFL has events every day of the week that they do all the way up until that next Sunday, which is the Pro Bowl. And the players fly in either on Sunday or Monday, and They used to stay over at the Sheridan
Their
watch.
families. They bring their families and friends,
And the whole families and everybody. And you would see tons and tons of people from the mainland in Hawaii for that particular special week for the Pro Bowl. But let me reverse back to flag football in the NFL. Flag football was actually accepted in the Olympics. But now there's some chatter about injuries. But potential players playing in games, and the games are coming in 2028. That will be the Summer Olympics in the Los Angeles, and they're going to be playing games at SoFi Stadium. And there's been questions about whether these players should play in this particular event in the Olympics because of potential injuries. Now, can any of that be written into the contracts of the players? Look, you're not going to play in the Olympics. You can't be participating in sport because you still could tear up your knee or tear up your Achilles tendon or separate a shoulder or any type of injury if you fall down the wrong way that you could with equipment on if you're playing in a regular football game. So it's a liability to a certain level, but you look at these players and these owners of these teams, and these owners, you are an asset for these owners. So these owners want to protect their asset, right? So Isaiah, I'm going to start with you and ask you the question is, should some of these players play in the Olympics in flag football? Would it be a potential risk and danger for these players to get injured or potentially something else to happen?
I got mixed emotions about it, but I lean more to, they should. Because there's an opportunity of a lifetime to be able to go out and, represent your country and then get, otherwise, just look at professional basketball. They're doing it. They might get injured the same way, but they represent their country and then they have something to hold up when they come back with a gold medal representing their country. And the flag football, it's not even regular football to us. They're not wearing pads.
Hey, peeps, and welcome to the DC Stewart Show Podcast. Derek speaking.
No eyes there.
And I'm not. How you doing?
You're currently tuned in to the DC Stewart Show Podcast, where sports, culture, and real talk collide.
So football breakdown to the very latest in current events.
And exclusive interviews you do not want to miss.
So don't touch that dial. Stay tuned to the DC Stewart Show Podcast. And be sure to crush that subscribe button and hit that like button. We're trying to reach 1,000 subscribers in the next 30 days. So please help us out. Thank you.
Yeah, I really think that sport, for them to get flag football going into the Olympics, that's the ultimate goal for a person to come back with a gold medal representing their country. Man, you got football players, that's going to be the equivalent of winning a Super Bowl. You get a Super Bowl ring, you're so proud of that. And then, of course, you represent your country and you get a gold medal for going to the Olympics and winning, a championship and honoring your country and standing on that podium and walking around with a gold medal, man. Who get a chance to do that? I think that's beautiful, man. I think it's going to be nice. It's going to be something where, remember when they first implementing all these other sports with tennis and things of that sort that wasn't in the Olympics, and all of a sudden it was implemented, and that is one of the biggest sports that you can see. And I think football is going to be the same. Well, the flag football is going to be the same way, because most countries, they don't play our American football, but they do play flag football. So the competitiveness of it is going to be nice. I think it's going to be really nice. But then I want to see
what you don't want to lose.
The stuff that these guys do, and I know these other teams not going to be able to do that, because American football is so superior to any other sport, in my opinion. But to see these guys go out there and juke them and throw the ball down to them, I don't think other teams going to be able to compete with them when it comes to that. Because you imagine you putting guys like Tyrese on there, and then you got all the quarterbacks that we think are geniuses, and then you inject Shador and his teammates and Hunter and all those guys go to play flag football. Man, they gonna run the score up on these other countries, man. I think it's gonna be nice to watch that.
So it's gonna be interesting to see the selection of which players they're gonna select, how they're gonna select them, which teams, whether they're star players or just average players. Najee, what do you think as far as the risk level for injury for some of these players? How would the owners look at this as being something that can, put risk on their assets? Because these players are their assets when they sign them these contracts.
Well, just like you said, it's flag. It's no contact. So it sounds even safer than practice to me, because practice you still gonna get some type of contact. But since you're not allowed to, really actually tackle anybody, this is the safest you can be, to be honest. Because even when practice, like we said, with practice on your own team, you can still risk injury. You can still risk injury just by snatching a freaking flag off your rear end, your waist or whatever. Unless it's like an Achilles. That's a no contact injury. Other than that, it's lighter than practice.
And DC, the other day I forgot which former player was talking about this, and they were talking about how the severity of these Achilles and these ankle turns and stuff like that. And they also brought up the fact that in the 80s and from like the 40s to the late 80s, where remember they used to wear high heels, like they almost like a boot.
They wore boots. I actually wore boots in high school. Yes.
Right. And then you tape your ankles.
You look like you wear boots in high school.
Yeah, and then with extra protection from your ankle. Yeah.
So there has been some questions about it from the perspective that a lot of countries was saying that they didn't see any interest in, fielding a flag football team for men, but they do have interest in fielding a flag football team for women. So there are certain countries that don't want to play men's flag football because of the lack of interest with it in their countries.
In the countries,
and I can see why. Yeah, I
can see why. I think
cool countries are going to want to watch female flag football. Some countries are going to watch male and female flag football. So we'll see, because I know Canada is going to have probably a very competitive team for men.
I think they will.
I would say some of the European countries, England and France and places like that, they are very familiar with football. So they'll be able to field some teams that will see some competition levels at that event. However, I just wanted to try to find out, okay, what are the positives and the negatives and, the upside and the downside to flag football being added to the Olympics. Now, you did express, Isaiah, one of them, because you said it's a gold medal event. So, and it's a gold, silver, and bronze medal event. So that's incentive right there, right?
Right, it is incentive, man.
It's definitely incentive.
Remember when they first started out with skateboarding?
Absolutely.
Skateboarding would have been
and BMX biking. The BMX bikes and stuff like that.
Yes, was that. You got countries that don't participate in that. They just don't be there, and you let the best countries win it. If your country they're not into biking and all that stuff and skateboarding, you just don't compete. But to say no, we should do it because your country is not interested in it, that's just your country's not interested in it. You gotta compete some other way, whether it's track and field or gymnastic or rugby like that or swimming. That's the only other way. Yeah, so they just don't compete in it. That's all.
That's right. That's right. So I'm going to be interested, and I'm very excited about it because the games are going to be right here. So I'll definitely, and you guys will be here as well in 28 to be able to accompany me.
You've reached the end of another episode of the DC Stewart Sports Talk Podcast. Be sure to connect with us at Facebook and Twitter.com. Your voice is important, so head over to iTunes to subscribe, rate, and leave us a review. Catch our next episode.